under the G20 framework, as G20 countries amongst themselves hold expertise, material and financial resources to varying degrees. These resources and expertise can be shared to address existing and future challenges, such as dealing with future pandemics and attaining digital and green transformations. On India at G20 today, we ask, can India as G20 president help build a collaborative research ecosystem between G20 countries, not just to facilitate pursuit of excellence, but to also ensure that such pursuit is beneficial to all? I'm Manun Bhattacharya. Let's get started with the top stories. India to host the Voice of Global South Summit virtually on 12th and 13th January with the theme Unity of Voice and Unity of Purpose. More than 120 countries invited. Foreign Secretary terms it as an opportunity for countries that are not part of G20 process to share their ideas and expectations. Says India will channelize their inputs in the G20 discourse. A day after meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi, diplomatic advisor to French President Emmanuel Macron meets G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant, holds extensive consultations on India's G20 presidency priorities. Union Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches themes, logo and website of Youth 20 Summit. India is hosting Y20 Summit for the first time. Union Minister says its 5 themes on future of work, peace building, climate change, shared future and health and well-being have been carefully selected. First meeting of Y20 to be held in Assam, a Y20 declaration to be presented to G20 leaders. India will host a virtual summit of the Global South countries on 12th and 13th January. The theme of the Voice of Global South Summit will be Unity of Voice and Unity of Purpose, and through that, India will channelize inputs of the Global South in the G20 discourse. Listen in.
We will be hosting a special virtual summit on 12th and 13th January 2023. That is the next week. This summit, which will be called the Voice of Global South Summit, under the theme Unity of Voice, Unity of Purpose.
Day 2 of the summit will see a session of foreign ministers focused on suggestions for India's presidency.
The Indian presidency, the ongoing Indian presidency of the G20, the foreign minister session on day 2 would focus on the theme G20. It is as straightforward as it can be. G20 suggestions for India's presidency. We would like to hear from countries that are not members of the G20 to share with us as to what they think in their scheme of things could be included in the discourse within the framework of the G20.
Union Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launched the themes, logo and website of Youth 20 Summit. India is hosting the Y20 Summit for the first time. At the launch, the Union Minister said that the 5 themes of the Y20 Summit, which are future of work, peace building, climate change and disaster risk reduction, shared future and health and well-being, were carefully selected. The first meeting of Y20 will be held in Assam, where the Union Minister had gone yesterday to take stock of preparations for the meeting. Y20 declaration will be presented to G20 leaders.
Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur launched the themes of the Y20 Summit, logo and website in a curtain raiser event in New Delhi on Friday.
The Y20 Summit, India will not only speak but also provide an audience to the youth from across the world to be heard in the world's largest democracy amongst those young leaders geared up with the baton to the future.
While the launches took place in the first session, the second session saw panel discussions by young achievers. The discussions were anchored around the personal success stories of the panelists and on how India can harness its youth population to become a superpower. The activities to be undertaken by Y20 during India's presidency will focus on global youth leadership and partnership. For the next 8 months, there will be pre-summits on 5 Y20 themes: Future of Work, Industry 4.0, Innovation and 21st Century Skills, Peace Building and Reconciliation, ushering in an era of no war, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Reduction, making sustainability a way of life, Shared Future, Youth in Democracy and Governance, Health, Well-being and Youth, Agenda for Youth. In the run-up to the final Youth 20 Summit, there will also be discussions and seminars at different universities across states in India.
The India's firm commitment decade after decade to democratic process in neighborhood of turmoil is an example for the world. It is a beacon of hope that democracy can thrive and is strengthened by diversity, not weakened. Our regular cycle of elections from Pradhan level to the Member of Parliament to the Prime Minister have ensured a smooth transition of power. Our youth has displayed decisive ballot power in elections. This has ensured that they are key stakeholders in the country's future.
As G20 President, India seeks to play a significant role in finding workable solutions at the international level to ensure holistic well-being, embodying the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and the Youth 20 Engagement Group can play an enabling role in that pursuit.
In Y20 Engagement Group, India's key focus is to bring youth leaders from across the globe and discuss ideas for a better tomorrow and a draft document for action. With Team DD India, Shubhendu Ghosh in Delhi.
Fostering a culture of research in India, that is one of the top priorities of India's national education policy unveiled in 2020. India has put the setting up of a national research foundation on the fast track. As G20 president, India now has an opportunity to strategize mechanisms for effective research collaborations between G20 countries. On 15th March, a seminar will be held on strengthening research collaboration under the G20 Education Working Group in Amritsar city of Punjab. Here's more on what is being done by India to promote research and how it can build on that under the G20 framework.
Knowledge creation and research are critical in growing and sustaining large and vibrant economies, uplifting society and inspiring humanity to achieve greater heights. A robust ecosystem of research is perhaps more important than ever, with rapid changes occurring in the world today, such as in the realm of climate change, population dynamics and management, biotechnology, an expanding digital marketplace, and the rise of machine learning and artificial intelligence. India's National Education Policy, or NEP, unveiled in 2020, underscores the importance of fostering a research culture in the country. It notes that despite the critical importance of research, the research and innovation investment in India stands at only 0.69% of GDP as compared to 2.8% in the US, 4.3% in Israel and 4.2% in South Korea. Recalling India's long historical tradition of research and knowledge creation in disciplines ranging from science and mathematics to art and literature, to phonetics and languages, to medicine and agriculture. NEP mandates making research a part of the program curriculum at the bachelor's and master's levels. NEP underscores the need to strengthen this, to make India lead research and innovation in the 21st century as a strong and enlightened knowledge society and one of the 3 largest economies in the world. Highlighting the need to catalyze quality academic research in all fields, the policy proposes the establishment of a National Research Foundation, or NRF, with the overarching goal of enabling a culture of research to permeate through Indian universities. NRF will provide a reliable base of merit-based but equitable peer-reviewed research funding, helping to develop a culture of research in the country through suitable incentives and recognition of outstanding research and by undertaking major initiatives to seed and grow research at state universities and other public institutions where research capability is currently limited. The NRF will competitively fund research in all disciplines. Successful research will be recognized and, where relevant, implemented through close linkages with governmental agencies as well as with industry and private or philanthropic organizations.
देश में रिसर्च कल्चर को एनरिच करने के लिए एनईपी में, नेप में एक नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन यानी एनआरएफ का भी प्रस्ताव किया गया है। एनआरएफ रिसर्च फंडिंग को लेकर सभी फंडिंग एजेंसीज के साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करेगा और सभी डिसिप्लिन्स, चाहे वो साइंस हो या ह्यूमैनिटीज, सभी के लिए फंड प्रोवाइड करेगा। जो पोटेंशियल रिसर्च होगी, जिनमें प्रैक्टिकल इंप्लीमेंटेशन का स्कोप होगा, उन्हें रिकॉग्नाइज किया जाएगा और इंप्लीमेंट भी किया जाएगा। इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज और इंडस्ट्री के बीच कोऑर्डिनेशन और क्लोज लिंकेज एस्टैब्लिश किया जाएगा।
In Union Budget 2021-22, the Government of India announced an outlay of 50,000 crore rupees over 5 years for NRF. It has started implementing major initiatives to promote research at the level of state universities and other public institutions where research capability was limited. The setting up of NRF has also been put on a fast track. NRF would have 10 directorates, one each for natural sciences, mathematics, engineering, environmental and earth sciences, social sciences, arts and humanities, Indian languages and knowledge, health, agriculture and innovation and entrepreneurship. Under the G20 framework, previous presidencies have sought to promote research and innovation collaboration. For instance, the Bali Declaration acknowledged the importance of research and innovation in sustainable resource utilization in various sectors, especially in the midst of health, climate, food and energy crisis. It welcomed research and innovation collaboration for conservation of biodiversity and its use to support sustainable development, including green and blue economy. It encouraged inclusive collaborations to further research and innovation and also promoted researchers' international mobility. Earlier in 2021, under the Italian presidency, the commitment to open science was evident in the declaration of G20 ministers on leveraging research, higher education and digitization for a strong, sustainable and inclusive recovery. India, as the current G20 president, has the opportunity to build on what previous presidencies have achieved and enhance research collaboration among G20 member countries for generating evidence-based solutions to specific problems facing the world today. Creating a framework to ease access and supply of research materials and build partnerships for joint research on targeted themes of common interest. Bureau Report, DD India.
And for perspective, we are being joined by Professor M. Jagdish Kumar, Chairman, University Grants Commission or UGC. UGC determines and maintains standards of teaching, examination and research in universities in India. And Professor T.G. Sitaram, he is Chairman, All India Council for Technical Education or AICTE. It is the apex body for technical education in India, and under its aegis, institutes are setting up innovation centers to promote the culture of innovation. Such a pleasure to have the two distinguished gentlemen on India at G20. Professor Kumar, I'll begin with you. India already has a thriving ecosystem for research and innovation. Now internationalization of education is taking place and the NRF has been put on the fast track. Do you see India leading research and innovation in the 21st century, and how can India contribute as G20 president in this realm?
India assuming G20 presidency on December 1st last year, it assumes great significance because G20 represents almost 60% of the global population. Nearly 90% of the patents are generated in these 20 countries. And almost 78% of the global trade takes place in these 20 countries. And we contribute to about 85% of the global GDP. And that's the reason why, India can actually showcase at this juncture the massive inclusive developmental efforts that are taking place in our country. And these development efforts could not have been possible without India being an innovative country. Already, India is rated as the third largest ecosystem for startup companies. We have close to about 83,000 startup companies in our country and nearly more than 100 unicorns in our country. Today, our younger people, who constitute nearly 2/3 of our country's population, they are highly ambitious, they are highly aspirational, and they are willing to take risks. Many of the students who pass out of our institutions are immensely contributing to the innovative efforts that are going on in our country. Let me also tell you that apart from the top institutes such as IITs and IISc, there is a huge pool of talent in our university system across the country, in our colleges across the country.
Yes.
And there are a lot of efforts that are being made to improve the research ecosystem in these institutions so that India will lead as a technological leader in the world.
Absolutely. And Professor Sitaram, I'll come to you now. How do you see the selection of the three themes for promoting innovation and research through collaborations under the G20 framework? I'm given to understand that the three themes are green transformations, digital transformations, and role of women in these twin transitions.
So thank you. See, the knowledge creation and research are very critical in growing, sustaining large vibrant economies, uplifting the society and inspiring the humanity to achieve the greater heights. The technologies, the three themes what have been chosen: digital technologies, where G20 has recognized the importance of digital technologies in driving innovation and has established a number of initiatives to promote their development and adoption. Similarly, in the advanced manufacturing and renewable energy, G20 has recognized and identified advanced manufacturing as a key area for innovation and has established a number of initiatives to support its growth. In renewable energy, importance of renewable energy in addressing climate change, and also has established a number of initiatives to support the development of clean energy technologies. Another theme also is on biotechnology, which is very, very important for India. G20 has identified biotechnology as an important area for innovation and established a number of initiatives again in this area. It is very important for India to be part of this G20 group to enhance research collaboration, both in a horizontal collaboration among universities and vertical collaboration among the people, startups and industry and academia. So that's where, India, particularly in the engineering, with the 8,000 odd institutions, we are actually the leaders in engineering and technologies. There is a greater scope for India to become a global engineer, serving for the whole world. I think this is the time where we can look at, along with G20 countries, which holds the expertise and also the materials and financial resources to varying degrees, which we can benefit through this collaboration. And these resources and expertise can be shared to address the existing and future problems, such as the ways to address the environmental challenges in meeting the sustainable development goals, which all of us needs to meet by 2030.
Right. Professor Kumar, the story that we showed spoke about how the focus was on this particular aspect of research, particularly in the Italian presidency as well as in the Indonesian presidency. But what are the challenges that you see in forging research partnerships that India will be cognizant of as G20 president? For instance, do we have open access to research materials in various countries? And are those open resources available is the data or the evidence that comes out of research being used in policy making, or are there access issues? Do we have access to peer-reviewed research across countries? And as far as supply chains are concerned, are there restrictions when it comes to research supply chains? So are these challenges that India will need to address?
Definitely there are issues related to, global supply chain related matters. But however, today, if you want to address any global challenges, it is very, very important that we cooperate with each other and we collectively find solutions to these challenges. For example, India has shown a way to the rest of the world when it has built its formidable digital infrastructure, the digital backbone. Today, be it health and other services that are provided to people across the country using our digital technology is an example of how using your research and innovation skills and resources you can actually build very useful systems to the country. And India houses nearly 20% of the global population. But today, 40% of the online global financial transactions, they take place in India. So that's the reason why I said India assuming the G20 presidency at this juncture is actually a great thing for our country, because the India 10 years ago is different from India today. We are much more open to new ideas today, and we are very aggressively pursuing in developing our country both economically and socially. And India also is a very stable country from the economic perspective. Our GDP is growing, and unlike many economies across the world, our economy is very stable, and our political system too is very, very stable. And that is why the entire world is looking at India and how it is performing. And this is a great opportunity for India to foster these collaborations among the countries, to encourage to work together. And India is in a position to do this. I am sure in the coming days we will come up with many ideas and many policies to foster this collaboration so that we can collectively work for the global humanity.
Right. Very quickly, we are seeing, Professor Sitaram, that developing countries are spending less money in research. The percentage of GDP in investment in research and innovation is less compared to developed countries for obvious reasons. Now we are aware that the Voice of the Global South Summit is going to be held virtually next week. The Ministry of External Affairs has announced that today. So in view of this, do you think that funding for research could also be an imponderable under India's G20 presidency? We've also been talking in the past about how developed countries need to pitch in more when it comes to climate finance or financing development. But funding for research continues to be a constraint in several global south countries.
Yeah. Thank you. I think you raise a very important point. It's very important to have funding. It's very, very critical. But at least, this G20 has given us an opportunity to collaborate and share the resources. See, that's where, the strength of the G20, I think India is using very aptly this collaboration in its presidency. I think this is an amazing time. This is an amazing time where our leadership also talks about Anusandhan. This is where, where it makes a lot of difference. So the scientists and engineers are very, very key now. They are very quite open, and the sharing of best practices, which can happen because it is a global village now, global world. We can talk about whether it is open access, peer-reviewed research is available to our scientists, and materials are available. Technologies and high-ended equipments are available. On a shared basis, we can do much better. So the framework to ease the access and supply of research material is also becoming simpler and easier nowadays. So it is definitely we need more money. We can do much better. But we have also the demographic where a large number of universities and institutions which can contribute to this network. And I think we can lead with collaboration, with shared resources and shared values in this direction.
Professor Kumar, what are the best practices that India can share at the G20 forum with other countries, including those over 120 countries that India has invited? And are there any best practices that India is looking at in other countries of the G20 and the Global South in the realm of research and innovation, which we would want to incorporate or learn from?
You see, globally, if you see, the inequalities are increasing. On the other hand, in India, if you look at the corona pandemic situation, how we managed it, we used technology to reach out to every nook and corner of our country to vaccinate people. And nowhere in the world such a feat has been done, vaccinating hundreds of crores of people. So this is an example of how, if you have the intent of reaching to the last person in the queue, we can achieve very large goals in a country like ours. So this is an example of a best practice. And also, you see, how do you take care of the interests of people who come from the socio and economically weaker sections? Weaker sections. This is also another thing that we need to see. How to implement affirmative actions so that irrespective of whether a person is from a rural background or from a poorer background, they also have opportunities to grow. This is another example I think we can present to the rest of the world.
Thank you so much, Professor Kumar and Professor Sitaram, for your very interesting insights on India at G20. Let's move on now. Here's a roundup of some other G20 related events and developments in tracking G20.
Diplomatic advisor to French President Emmanuel Bon held a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday. Speaking of his meeting with Emmanuel Bon, PM Modi said, "Had a fruitful meeting with Mr. Emmanuel Bon, diplomatic advisor to President Macron, covering a wide range of issues from defense and security to culture. Glad that our strategic partnership is further deepening." India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant has tweeted about having had extensive consultations on India's G20 presidency priorities with diplomatic advisor to French President Emmanuel Macron, Emmanuel Bon. Kant added that the interaction was reflective of strong India-France strategic ties and that he looks forward to participation in the next Sherpa meeting in Kumarakom, Kerala. Meanwhile, as per the official Twitter handle of the G20 India One Health program focuses on balancing the health of people, animals and the environment. It also mentions that the World Bank estimates that between $10.3 and $11.5 billion a year is needed to implement One Health globally. Bureau Report, DD India.
That's it then in this edition of India at G20. Thanks for watching.
पेमेंट फेल? लेकिन पैसे तो कट गए। गई मेरी मेहनत की कमाई।
हो जाएगी भरपाई, चिंता मत कर मेरे भाई।